Oh, what's going on, fight fans? The boss is back, and it's Changed My Mind, episode 2, or I should say volume 2. I'm being joined once again by my man Joel Habib from Ringside Reporter. What's going on, Beeb? How you doing?
What's going on, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm ready to talk this fight here, man. That was, I guess you could say, controversial, but for me, I felt like the judges got it right, man. I felt Bradley won this fight. Um, I've said it 10 years ago when the fight first took place. I still have my video up from back then, and I just watched it again today to look at it one more time, make sure I'm not tripping. I see the same exact thing, man, that I've been seeing every time I watch this fight. How do you feel about this one, Beeb?
Well, every time I've given my opinion on this fight, I've never been more insulted in my life. Everyone just tells me how crazy I am. How could you have scored this fight for Bradley? What's wrong with you? And I remember we did a rewatch and a rescore when I was on the Boxing Voice, and Ness and I think Vic, I think a lot of us, even James Meyer, after they rewatched it, they scored it for Bradley as well, right? So I think a lot of people when they watched that original broadcast, and I know this was mentioned a lot after the fight. May he rest in peace, because I don't want to talk bad about someone that's not here anymore, but I just think Harold Letterman's scorecard was just so off, and
Awful.
for whatever reason, you know, you fans keep hearing the HBO broadcasters tell you like how great of a judge Harold Letterman is. So it's almost as if people were afraid to just disagree with Harold Letterman. If you were went against Harold Letterman's scorecard, then there was something wrong with you. In other words, the way it was implied, like, oh, Harold's one of the best scorers of all time. And I got to be honest with you, with all due respect, I just disagreed with many of his scorecards. I just felt as though he had a certain bias towards aggressive fighters who moved forward, and I thought he had a bias against guys who moved a lot, guys who were boxers, guys who fought off the back foot, guys who were counterpunchers. He favored the aggressive guys, the volume guys, the offensive guys, and that was Pacquiao. He scored every single fight that Pacquiao fought Marquez for Pacquiao. And I'm not going to say he was biased towards Pacquiao, but he was biased towards Pacquiao's style. Just like I am somewhat biased against Canelo's style. I don't like that economical fighting spurts, take long periods of minutes of the round off, and you make you miss, not make you pay. So we're all people say I'm not biased. I think we are biased to some degree towards what we like in a fight in terms of styles. Like some people and some judges like certain styles, and if a fight is close or whatever, they may give it to the guy whose style they like. But sometimes where the objectivity has to come into play is if even though you like a certain style, you have to be able to distinguish whether or not it's working or not. So sometimes you may like a particular style, but if it's not working, then you shouldn't give the guy the fight because you like that particular style. You're being overly biased. You can be biased, but you must be objective. So yeah, I thought Bradley won this fight. I thought it was a close fight. I don't have a problem with people who gave it to Pacquiao. What I do have a problem with is an 11-1
Oh
scorecard
my God,
that
yeah.
was originally turned in. With all due respect, again, we don't want to talk bad about someone when they're not here anymore, and I really want to stress that. But 11-1, no way. 9-3, 7-5, okay. 8-4, but don't tell me that Bradley only won like in between 1 and 2 rounds, or even 3. At the very least, in my opinion, I thought Bradley won 5. I gave him
Yeah.
7. I gave him
Yeah.
7.
And even the judges, right? All 3 judges had it 7-5, right? Two of
Correct.
them, two of them for Bradley, one for Pacquiao. The judges thought it was close. I really think that the fans let the HBO commentary, Jim Lampley, they let the HBO ringside scorecard or judge Harold Letterman convince them that they were seeing a blowout. He literally scored it 11-1, which I think was just an awful scorecard. One of the worst scorecards I've seen him put out was this fight. This was one of the worst commentated fights I've ever seen on HBO. Just awful, man. Awful. And I agree with you. I feel like, again, a 7-5 is, I mean, one round one way or another, could be a draw, could go to the other guy. So it was close, you know? I didn't see a blowout, man. And I want to play this because 10 years ago, when this fight first took place, I made a video about the commentary. I gave my post-fight thoughts, and I said I thought Bradley won. I still think the same today. But they were so bad, so biased for Manny Pacquiao. And literally just, there's a part here I'm going to show you where you're going to see Timothy Bradley land like close to 10 punches on Manny Pacquiao. And there's literally dead air. And it's just amazing to me how bad they were tonight. Let's check this out real quick.
Stop, guys, stop. That shot was blocked.
And how convenient for Lampley. He finally opens his mouth after 30 seconds and he says, that shot was blocked. But you forgot to call the other 10 that Bradley just landed. Like, it was an awful, disgusting job of commentating by the team at HBO. I just could not believe what I was hearing. I remember I had this fight, I ordered at my house, I had some people over, and I'm telling them, I'm like, there's no way that he's winning every single round. I don't understand what the hell's going on here. And everybody thought I was crazy, but then when they said Bradley won the fight, I said, hey, my scorecard said the same thing. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and open up the line. I'm going to put the phone number up right now. Give me a second. I know Little Penny's here. He's my guy. I know you're overseas. So if you want to come on and talk with us, I can give you a link. I can email you a link if you want to come on and be on the panel, not call in. Let me know if you're still there. But there's the number, guys. If anybody wants to call in and try to change my mind on this, I've watched this fight several times, and I always see the same thing. What was your scorecard, B? Do you remember the rounds that you gave to Bradley, or just
I believe I gave Bradley the first. I want to say I gave him the first 3 and I think the last 4. And I thought Pacquiao did go on a little run. I'm trying to remember, but I know Bradley started fast and he finished fast as well. He finished strong, I should say. He started strong and he finished strong. And Pacquiao had that little run in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And you know, the one thing I got from a boxing judge that I interviewed one time, Steve Weisfeld, he said this to me. He goes, you know, a lot of people watch the round and then they just try to assess what they saw all at once and score it at the end. You should be scoring it as it's going on. So you score every second of every round, right? You don't just score. You don't just, you know, have these mental lapses while you're watching the round and then just see one big thing at the end and then all of a sudden. So in that first round, right, Bradley was out jabbing Pacquiao. Pacquiao wasn't really doing much. Bradley was fighting very well on the outside. Every now and then he would go in, pop back out. When he went in, he would drop a shot to the body, and he'd pop back out, reset. And then at the end of that round, Pacquiao throws a left hand at Bradley, and I thought Bradley. When I first saw it, I thought it landed, but didn't land clean. And I thought Bradley kind of rolled it. And you could basically see that that Bradley was off balance, that their feet tangled or whatever. And when that punch was landed, right, or actually was thrown, and Bradley went back, because the feet got tangled up. Orthodox southpaw, which is very normal. What happens, right? Then you hear Lampley almost like he had an orgasm. Oh, what a left hand, right? And it was just crazy. And then when you go back and look at the replay, the punch didn't even land.
Yeah.
In real time, I thought it was a glancing blow. And because of that punch, Harold Letterman gave him the round, which is not what you're supposed to do. Steve Weisfeld says you score every second of every round as it's going on. You don't just watch the round and then try to figure out who won it at the end. Try to backtrack what you saw. You're scoring it as you're watching it. You're saying to yourself, okay, a minute's gone by. So-and-so did this much in that minute. The next minute's going by. Okay, so-and-so's doing this. So you're basically trying to gauge who's controlling the majority of the time in that round. So if one guy is doing nothing for the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds, then he lands one shot at the end, unless he's buckling the guy, wobbled him, or close to have knocked him down, or staggered him so bad that he almost fell back into the ropes and went down, he's not going to win that round. It's like round 2 with Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez. He landed that one shot at the end of the round, and then everyone gave, like Ward gave him the round, Teddy Atlas gave him that round.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't see how anyone could have given that round to Loma, that round 2. So that's the problem. Like what Pacquiao was doing in this fight was he was very, he was missing a lot of punches, and then he was actually not as active in this fight as he was in prior fights. Like certain fighters that Pacquiao fought, like when he fought Marquez, and even when he fought Bradley, his punch output, well, in this fight it did anyways. In the first fight with Bradley and the majority, most of the fights with Marquez, his punch output went down, right? So there was some, and even in the Jeff Horn fight, his punch output went down. So if you can offset him, like Horn was mauling him, knocking him off balance, Marquez was kind of being a counterpuncher, constantly moving back, setting traps for him, so Pacquiao couldn't time Marquez, right? And Bradley was moving a lot. He wouldn't stand still for Pacquiao. So if Pacquiao is not able to, get in position where the way he wants to, if he can't pin you down, right, then he's gonna miss a lot of shots, number one, and his output is gonna go down. And his output was low in this fight compared to normal. So,
So we got our first guest to come on here and talk with us. I like it, man. You and I have been in some chats. We talked about it a few times. So Little Penny, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks for your time.
Hey, man, I'll come in for a little while because I'm actually working at the moment. I've actually got a warning from my company not to come into boxing videos whilst I'm working. So hopefully, because I've got 3 warnings. Because so I've got 1. I got 2 more. It's okay. It's fine. I'll anyways,
so
I thought. Hey, Beebs,
how you doing, buddy? Putting your job on the line here. What's going on, man?
No, don't worry, man.
What's wrong with you?
It's fine, dude.
You with the Jets?
I got 3. It's 3 official warnings. So I've got 1.
Oh, so you want to roll the dice? That's like saying I got 3 condoms. Okay, I won't use it this time. I'll use it the next 2 times.
Hey, man, I'm taking Beebs, I'm taking risks like AJ, dude. So it's all right.
Yeah, you're taking
yes.
Hey, I had a Pacquiao 8-4. I thought it was close. I was upset of the loss because I thought Pacquiao won. But when you see it again, because dude, Bradley is a very talented guy, and he's hard to knock out, and he throws punches like Pacquiao. Because the thing is, the reason why Pacquiao wins in Las Vegas all the time, especially against Marquez and that Barrera rematch as well, which was close, and Pacquiao keeps winning those because he throws punches and he connects. You know what I mean? Like, and every round he throws punches. He's very aggressive. A lot of Las Vegas judges, they're like aggressive guys, like Canelo. He throws punches. That's why when you see the scorecards, he's always in it. Like with the Bivol fight, like you know what I mean? Like, so I did think it was 8-4 Pacquiao, but I wasn't. But I did think it was close, like what Bibbs was saying. Bibbs, sorry, I wasn't at the start. How did you score it?
I heard it 7-5 for Bradley.
Okay.
Here's the problem with these judges when they're scoring Pacquiao. Pacquiao's always moving his hands. And if you got your back to Pacquiao, because a lot of guys Pacquiao fights, like Mike Marquez, likes to take that half step back, slide off to the side. Bradley's an ambush guy just like Pacquiao. He likes to go in and out too. So here's the thing. When you got a guy that goes in and out, this is what you do. So when he's going back to reset, you follow him out there. Then when he comes forward, you slide back, let him come to you. So if you got your back to Pacquiao as a judge and you're seeing this guy, this little hummingbird go, because you see the guy sliding back, you're thinking Pacquiao's hitting him, pushing him back with aggression. And you have to understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can see the total picture, that's why it's much better to watch a fight on television than to watch it live, because you can see everything. The camera angle you see when you're watching it can never be replicated while you're watching it live. You're never going to get that. You're not going to get instant replays. You're just not going to get those views. So if you got your back to Pacquiao, he looks like he's kicking the shit out of whoever's in front of him because his hands are moving, because his hands are going a mile a minute, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes when he's throwing punches, but that doesn't mean he's landing them.
Hey, Beast, what do you think of Harold Letterman? Not on this fight, but just overall, when he does his scorecards on HBO, do you think he's good? Like, do you think?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. We spoke about it earlier, and I don't want to speak bad about someone when they're not here. And I told G Funky this earlier. He was touted as being like the best judge, like HBO with Jim Lampley. Oh, we got arguably the best scorer in boxing. So
he said that too. He said that after the fight was over, when they announced Bradley as the winner, he said, I think Harold Letterman is the best judge in the world. This stinks.
So when people keep hearing this as a fan, right? You're saying to yourself, I can't go against the best judge ever, right? But respectfully, because he's not here anymore, and I don't want to say anything negative about him, I disagreed with him several times. I'm not going to say he was a bad judge, but he was very biased towards volume, aggressive fighters. He didn't. Larry Merchant was the same way, and so was they didn't like Andre Ward complained a lot about how he was commentated when he how people were commentating him while he was on that network. You know, he used to take shots at the media, but I think subliminally he was taking shots at HBO. Because again, these networks are almost like ESPN's guilty of it today. They're like PR people. You know, they get behind a fighter and they cheerlead. And Lampley and Merchant and Letterman, they like that. They don't appreciate the sweet science. They don't like the boxers. They don't like the counterpunchers. They like the Toro Gottis. Jim Lampley had that show. What did he have? The Gotti
list. Yeah, the
Gotti list or whatever. That just goes to show you what these guys like. And Pacquiao is that aggressive, hard punching, volume guy that fits the bill. Bradley wasn't. Andre Ward wasn't. Pernell Whitaker wasn't. Right? So they would love guys like Chavez. They would love guys like De La Hoya. They would love guys like Canelo. They would love guys like Pacquiao, but they wouldn't give guys like Mark. How do you score 3 fights? Well, let me ask you this. So you get Pacquiao, Marquez fight 3 times, right?
4 times.
Well, I'm sorry, 4 times, but I'm saying that 3 decisions, right? 3 of those fights went to the decision. I thank you for the correction. So 3 of those fights went to the decision, right? Did you score all 3 of those fights for Pacquiao? I think at least everyone that watched all 4 fights and the 3 that went to the decision, could you give Pacquiao all 3 of? I gave Pacquiao the first fight. I thought he won the first fight. The second fight could have gone either way, right? The third fight, I thought Marquez clearly won.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a guy who gave all 3 of those fights in Harold Letterman to Pacquiao.
Well, Beebs, the first fight, I agree with you because that one guy had it wrong. I think he scored at 10-7. It should have been 10-6. It had he scored at 10-6.
Yeah,
Pacquiao would have won.
Pacquiao
The second fight,
go ahead.
The second fight, it was really, really close.
Could have gone
I
either
thought
way.
it could have gone either way. The knockdown I thought was the difference. Yeah, I think it was in the 4th round or something. I can't remember. The third fight, yeah, you can give it to Marquez. I was really nervous. Oh, we paid for that pay-per-view. In fact, we had a party at our house. We had like freaking 50 people
Let
at our house.
me look at you. Stay still for a second. Let me look at you in the eyes. I'm going to give you a lie detector test. Do you think Pacquiao really won that third fight?
Well,
You don't believe it. You don't believe it. You failed the test. I'm sorry. You don't
No. I don't like.
I put the truth. I put the Beeb truth serum on you. You failed.
But
You don't believe it. You don't believe it. You don't believe it.
Beebs, it was the closest of the three decisions.
No, the second one was the closest.
I think the second one was the closest, and I
third
felt
one wasn't
Marquez.
really- I had the
Marquez
third one.
clearly won the third one.
Yeah, the third one I had 8-4 for Marquez.
Yeah.
You know, Ring Magazine called that the robbery of the year.
Hey, Beebs, G-Funky, you know, if you look at the punch stat numbers, Pacquiao actually
Let me look at you again.
outlanded
Stand still for a
Marquez.
second. Let me look at you again. Yeah, you don't. You don't believe it. Come
Go ahead,
on.
little Penny.
Come
Go
on.
ahead.
Come on, Penny.
And also, it was Marquez's fault that he actually lost that fight because he did a Oscar De La Hoya against Tito Trinidad in the last
Only
two
in
fights.
the 12th round he did that. Only in the 12th round.
Yeah. I felt that was the
Don't
clearest.
Don't exaggerate.
Like that one was the clearest out of all the first 3 decisions. The second fight was close, even though I did score it for Marquez. And you're right. The judge, if he would have given it a 10-6 round, it wouldn't have been a draw. It would have been a win for Pacquiao.
I thought Pacquiao got a raw deal in that fight.
Also at that time, right? 3 guys at 126 pounds didn't want to give Marquez his shot. Prince Hassim Hamed, Marco Antonio Barrera, and Eric Morales. Those guys at 126 didn't want to fight.
They didn't want that Marquez smoke
because he was so talented. Even I think what's his name? Hamed's trainer. He's passed away now.
Brendan Ingle.
No.
Stewart, Emmanuel Stewart.
Yeah, Emmanuel Stewart. He actually.
Emmanuel Stewart. Yeah, he trained him later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He actually admitted to saying to Hamed, "Don't fight this guy because he's so dangerous." But Pacquiao, even though he that style of fighting, which is counterpunching, is so wrong for him, he fought him anyway. You know what I mean? He gave him his shot, right? And then once they had that draw, Pacquiao gave Marquez a rematch, right? And Marquez turned it down because the money wasn't enough, and he wanted to fight Chris John in Indonesia or something. And in fact, he ended up losing that fight because I think
he did.
The coach of Marquez wanted him to get a belt so that he can have more what they call in the
more leverage in the negotiation. Yeah.
And Pacquiao fought someone else. I think I don't know. I think Pacquiao fought Morales.
I think he fought Oscar Larios, I think. Somewhere in Asia. I don't know if it was the Philippines or not, but it was somewhere in Asia. I remember seeing that because I was very interested in that fight because Larios had just came to my hometown, Sacramento, and knocked out Willie Horin, who was the champion here. And he knocked him out in one damn round. I was like, oh my God, this guy, man. So I kept my eyes on him from there. And I remember he got a shot at Pacquiao. So I think that was the fight. But it was several years in between those fights. I think it was like the first fight might have been like 4 years between. And then from the second fight to the third fight, I think it was 3. So it took several years to make those fights happen again. But I mean, those are all great fights. Go ahead.
And G-Funky, Manny didn't even have to fight him even the third time, right? But he wanted to anyway because he wanted to kind of like how AJ thinks, like at the moment with that killer mindset. In terms of like fighting the best of the best all the time, he wanted to close the book, like how he did against Morales. Because before that third fight, Marquez went to Philippines, right, to campaign for the trilogy, and Manny didn't even wait for him to go to General Santos City, which is in the south of Philippines. He actually met him at the airport. So once Marquez landed, Pacquiao was there, and he's like, he's, hey, how are you? Like, if there's anything I can do for you, like with your family, let me know, blah, blah, blah. And then Manny went on his way, but Manny met him at the airport. He didn't even wait for him to go to the hotel to to even go to his own city. Manny traveled from General Santos City to Manila to the airport and met him face to face, right? So that, I think it was Manny was probably telling him that just wait, we'll get the trilogy done. I don't know. He's probably wanting him to sign with Top Rank because I think it was with Golden Boy at that time. Because that's probably why what's his name? Bob Arum wanted him to tell him, right? So, and even in the fourth fight, he didn't even want that he didn't even have to fight him, but because some of the Mexican fans were like complaining that Marquez needs another shot. So Pacquiao gave him a shot. Marquez knocks him out and then walks away in the sunset. Like, what the hell is that? A lot
I
of
don't
the
blame him.
Filipinos.
I don't blame him. He got robbed. He got robbed. He kept getting robbed. He kept getting robbed.
Yeah.
Stop running
interference.
Stop running interference for Pacquiao. You're running interference for Pacquiao.
Hey,
Interference.
hey, Beebs. A lot of the Filipinos.
That's a disgrace. You can't even whistle.
A lot of the Filipinos respect Mexican fighters because they fight the same way. But in this occasion, Marquez should have given Pacquiao a fifth fight because Pacquiao gave him 4 fights, right? So I thought that was a little like just to run away.
Well, I'll say this.
Un-Mexican to me, Canelo wouldn't do that.
I'll say this. I'll say this in response. At the time, I would say from the 3rd fight to the 4th fight in that era, right there, right? We were right in the thick of Pacquiao Mayweather drama for years and years and years. That fight wasn't happening due to a lot of reasons. So like, who else was Pacquiao going to fight at that point to make some money? He's got to go back and fight the one guy that everybody felt. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people felt beat him and made it very competitive with him, which was Marquez. So
do you think he could have fought? He could have fought, what's his name? Alvarado, who beat Brandon Rios in the rematch. He could have fought Cal Brook in London.
I mean, look, he could have fought
Brook
those guys.
Cal Brook in London.
Come on, Cal Brook in a belt.
He could have fought me in a skating ring too. What difference does that make? Could have fought me at the backyard in an MDC pools arena somewhere. Who cares?
He could have fought whoever he wanted, but who's going to pay for that? He was a pay-per-view star at the time. The only guy that was really going to generate him that kind of money besides a Mayweather fight was Marquez. He had already beaten Morales twice. He had already beaten Barrera twice. So I mean, what's there? He beat a shot Oscar.
Beat Shane Mosley.
Really, if it wasn't Mayweather, it had to be Marquez.
Beat
So like
already.
Yeah, he already beat some of these guys.
In that pay-per-view, everyone thought that was going to tank. That Pacquiao Marquez 4, everyone thought that it was going to tank because we've already seen this story. Blah blah blah. Dude, he did 1 million pay-per-view buys.
That was actually the first fight I ever streamed. I stayed home that day.
G, come on, G. You can't do that, brother. You can't stream fights. Come on.
That was actually the very first fight I ever done that for.
That's not right.
And we got some comments here in the chat I want to get out. My man Boxing Vital says he got robbed and finally there was no way to rob Marquez. I agree, man. I felt like he felt he won at least 2 of those first 3 fights on the scorecards. And then, he knocks him out and like you said, rides off into the sunset. Now I'll ask you this, little Penny. If Pacquiao had knocked out Marquez in any of those 4 fights, do you think he fights him again? And after or what do you think?
So you're saying if he didn't knock Marquez down?
Let's say if after the first fight, which was a tough fight, a draw, right? They fight again. He knocks out Marquez. Do you think he fights him for a 3rd time? Pacquiao
knocks him out?
Yeah, if he had knocked out Marquez in the 2nd fight, do you think he fights him again?
A trilogy. It depends if Marquez.
Let me look at you with the truth stare. Go ahead.
It depends if Marquez
put him back on the big screen.
It depends that if Marquez made that run at 135.
He's not telling the truth, Jake. He's not telling the truth.
Because Marquez became the lineal champ at 135.
He failed the truth stare. He failed the truth stare.
He made fought him at 140 because Pacquiao likes to fight Mexican guys because they're
Whoa!
Pacquiao's got a rivalry with
Take it easy
Mexican
with that.
guys. Like, you know what I mean?
Take it easy with that.
What did he say?
No, I
But,
look I don't think he does. I'll be quite honest with you. I think he looks at Marquez and says, "I'm not going to fight you again. I probably should have won the first time. I knock you out the second time. I'm not fighting you again." That's just the way that I think. I don't think he would have ever given him another fight. So I mean, I feel Marquez like, look, I felt I beat you 2 times, maybe 3, and then I have to knock you out to actually get a win. Like I'm cool. I'm good with it now.
G Funky, just going back to Marquez, right? This guy is really underrated. Like, when you talk about the great all-time Mexican fighters, his name doesn't get mentioned enough.
No, you know what it is too?
Incredible fighter.
Yeah, the problem is, Little Penny, is this. He's very critical of a guy who's very popular from Mexico these days.
Yeah, I know.
And that's why he gets a lot of hate. But don't get it twisted, man. Marquez is a top 10 Mexican fighter of all time. He made my list.
I think the reason why Marquez is saying that is like kind of like when Shaq was he was saying bad things about Dwight Howard, right? Because when Shaq grew up, he grew up with Ewing, Robinson, and Olajuwon, and these guys he had to earn his way up. Like, you don't just become an all-time great by like fighting crappy guys, like so Marquez is looking at it that way. Dude, he had to beat Barrera, Pacquiao. He had to go through the gauntlet, like, to become who he is. And then when he sees his countrymen fight like 3 crappy guys at 168, so he's now the what do you call it, like the Ring
Undisputed.
magazine, undisputed at 168, and now he's in this stratosphere. He's like, people are saying he's even above Marquez.
There was people.
No.
There was people that were trying to have the conversation of saying he's the greatest Mexican fighter of all time, and I'm like, let's pump the brakes on that. All right.
I like Canelo. He's my favorite fighter because this here came from the Canelo Mayweather fight. I went to that fight. They gave this for free at the weigh-in.
Oh wow. Okay.
Right? And I still have it, right? I like Canelo, right? And he's probably my favorite fighter, favorite Mexican fighter today. But dude, he's got to do some more, man. He's got to be like undisputed at 175 to even be in the same bracket as Marquez. Like, you know what I mean?
I think he's got to fight. I mean, I hate to say this, but he needs a rivalry with another Mexican fighter. They all have them. Every single one.
Fight Benavidez, man. If you fought Benavidez, that'd be a great
Benavidez.
fight.
I mean, hell, he could even move up and fight Zurdo if he wanted to. That would be
Ramirez can beat Vivol. If he beats Vivol, man, it could be an all Mexican fight, kind of like Barrera. Morales.
Dude, if he beats him, and I don't think Zurdo wins that fight, but if he
you don't think that much of Zurdo, huh? You don't think that much of Zurdo?
Nah, I mean, look, I know he's big and he's strong and all that good stuff. He likes to put the pressure on, but I just don't think he's good enough to beat Bivol. I don't.
He doesn't have the power.
Yeah.
I think he has. I'm gonna pick Bivol to win that one. I think Zurdo's very live. He's very live in that fight.
Yes, I agree. Because of his size, he's not.
I wouldn't be shocked if Zurdo won that fight.
Yeah, he won't be able to bully Zurdo, unlike what he did to Canelo. Because Canelo is too small for 175.
I don't start with the small stuff, please.
But he's really a 168, 160 fighter. For him to go to 175,
he's not small. He's short. He's short. He's not small. Like G is not excessively tall, but he's a big boned guy. Right?
Yeah.
G?
Me and Canelo are the same. Now, I'm actually.
How tall are you, G? Like 5'9", 5'10"?
I'm 5'10". Yeah. So Canelo's what, 5'8"? I think he's listed at.
Yeah, it's
5'7". Yeah, I'm a few inches taller than him. So, but yeah, he's a wide guy. He's not tall, He's always weighed. That's why I didn't really I didn't think he was gonna have a problem moving up. He was always in the 170s on the night of his fights when he was at like 154, 160.
Canelo's got that mindset of like, the last of the Mohicans, kind of like what Mayweather's saying, like the old guys where he fights anyone, whoever, whenever, whatever weight class. The problem with Canelo is he doesn't have the Hall of Famers in those weight classes. Unlike when Pacquiao, Marquez, Barrera, and Morales were around that 126, 130, 135 mark, He just doesn't have it, and it's not his fault. And one of the reasons why is because these boxers don't fight each other. If they fought more often and if they fight each other, then their names would be more revered. Then Canelo, then we'll see like how good. Like maybe we don't even know if Billy Joe Saunders or these guys they could be really good, but they don't fight each other and not that often. That's the problem.
Yeah, very true, man. So I'm before I get you fired at your job, little Benny, I'm gonna give you one more. I'm gonna give you one more opportunity here to change our mind on this Pacquiao Bradley first fight, and then we'll let you go, man. But I appreciate you coming on, man. I know I know you're on a different part of the world than we are, so I definitely appreciate you, man.
Nah, man, it's all good, dude. I'm not either way. I'm not fussed. Like I am a Pacquiao fan, but I'm not like what do you call them? Like a
Fanatic.
Yeah, I'm not a fanatic. Like if someone says that Bradley won, I'm fine with that because it was a close fight. I didn't think.
Let me ask you this: how many Pacquiao T-shirts do you own?
I got 2. But they're all from fights, though. Like
borderline beef now.
Come on.
Well, who's your favorite fighter, and how many shirts do you have of him?
I have 2 Tyson Fury shirts.
There he is. He's right there with you.
But here's the thing: Tyson Fury retires without fighting Usyk. Can't defend that.
Yeah, it's gonna
no.
I
That
can't
fight's
defend
gonna
it.
happen.
Can't defend it, but that fight's gonna happen. I was talking to him the other day.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. In London next year, or even
no, it's gonna be in Saudi.
Happen in Beebs. I don't think it'll happen in December, dude, because it's winter in London. It rains every day.
Guess what, brother? It's not going to London. Saudi already wants to fight. Saudi already wants to fight. They're already talking to him.
Okay.
As much as I don't want to get too political, but as much as I don't like fights going to Saudi, I get it. I mean,
I don't
same
mind,
for me.
man. Like, and look, if Saudi wants to open the economy or whatever to the world, I'm fine with that. It's about time, actually. So give them the opportunity, man. I don't mind boxing in those places. Like, and just whilst on this subject, Saudi does not want to be fully Western like straight away, or else the people will have a revolution. They would just want to do a gradual change, right? Like from women driving and then from whatever, just slowly, because they want to do it their way. Like, you know what I mean, Beeps? Or you don't agree, Beeps?
I see where you're going with it. I don't want to be closed-minded on the situation, but they have a lot of work to do before I start coming around on that.
Yes. And I don't think it's going to happen, man.
It's just slowly. They don't want to do it straight away, or else they have a revolution. You know that, Beeps.
Fair enough. That's a good point. You actually made a good point there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I just think that part of the world, those countries, they take their religion so serious. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot for them to open up like that. I don't want to turn it into a religious talk, but it's going to be tough, man, for sure. But one more time. Go ahead, give us your final thoughts, or not your final thoughts, but your final argument, and then
hey, man,
we'll let you get back to work, man.
Hey, G Funky, I'm cool with everyone saying that Bradley won, so I'm cool. I'm not gonna persuade anyone. I'm cool with it, dude. And because of that loss, we got a trilogy out of it. So and Pacquiao's got so many freaking rivalries with everyone. He's got so many rematches and trilogies. In fact, him and Morales have the most trilogies, like, and against great fighters too. Maybe Holyfield had a few, and Ali, and Sugar Ray Robinson. But in terms of like rematches, trilogies, and full fights, man, Pacquiao had heaps of those, and against great fighters, not just Arturo Gatti and what's his name had I can't even remember his name anymore.
Mickey Ward.
Mickey Ward had a trilogy, but dude. Yeah, the fights were entertaining, but those two were not they're not world class. They're not like Pacquiao Marquez. You know what I mean? It's not at that level,
I agree.
So I commend Pacquiao. G Funky, thanks for letting me in. Joe, love your videos, man. I always watch them. I try not to even watch them at work, so I always try and I minimize the window so that because my manager sits behind me when I'm in the office. So, but I still watch it though. And
Yeah,
when
but
he goes, to the,
if you don't turn the sound on my videos, you're definitely gonna get
no,
fired.
I've got headphones, and
Okay.
when he goes to the toilet, I'll try and comment because he's not there. So,
Because I swear a lot and I've raised my voice a lot.
no. Okay, it's cool, man.
I'm
All right, man.
I'm certifiable.
Hey, thanks a
guys.
lot for coming on, man. I appreciate you, man.
All right,
Have a good one.
cheers.
Thanks, brother.
Now that's a boxing fan right there, man. That guy's putting his job on the line, man. Let's give him a hand, little Penny. Let's give him a hand for that. All right, that was great. He didn't change our minds, but hey, he came on and made an effort, and we got to give him a respect for that. But I want to read some more comments up here about this fight here. Boxing Vitals here. He says, I watched the Bradley Pacquiao fight at Wild Buffalo Wings in Bakersfield, and this place had a great projector, so the screen was the whole wall. Wow, that does sound good. And Pacquiao lost that fight. His punch stats were way off, and he says that he agrees with you, Beeb. Even Kamibog punch stats said it was like 60 punches, but that rolling punch, he was rolling punches, like Beeb said. Yeah, I agree with that. He wasn't landing all those shots.
He wasn't getting hit, man.
Yeah, those shots weren't clean. He said I was the only person saying and knew, and everyone said you're crazy. So I told the people in front of me to watch Pac's punches. Then they saw the punch stats, and they didn't match. No, I agree, man. I feel like a lot of those shots weren't connecting, and he was getting a ton of credit for him. He was getting the boom, boom, boom from Jim Lampley and all that shit, man. Just driving me nuts.
Do you think Bradley should be in the Hall of Fame based off of his 2 victories over 2 Hall of Famers and being a champ in 2 weight classes? A lot of people don't think he belongs.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man.
Would you vote? If you had the ability to vote and he was coming up on the ballot, would you vote him in? Yes or no?
Ooh,
put you on the spot here.
Yeah, that's one I definitely have to think about.
I'd vote him in. I'd vote him in.
I liked Bradley, man, and look, I know I'm gonna catch hell for this because I said that. You're like, oh, then I wonder why you scored the fight for him. No, I scored the fight based off the criteria, okay? And I score every fight this way. I use this. I don't use my heart or my emotions when I score a fight. But I like Timothy Bradley because Timothy Bradley, to me, he's a very competitive guy. I like those type of dudes. He's, he might be outgunned and overmatched in fights, but he continues to try hard. He never gives up. Those are the type of fighters that I like. Those are the type of athletes that I like. Even in other sports, when you see it sometimes, team sports where the team's down 20, 25, 30 in the second half of the game. And then you see one guy, he's out there working his ass off, trying to get everybody else like, come on, let's go. We still got time to come back. Sometimes they come back and win. Sometimes they come back and make it interesting, Those are the type of guys that I like. And to me, Tim Bradley's one of those dudes, So there's a chance that I probably would vote him in just because of that,
I wouldn't vote him in as a commentator though, but as a fighter, yes.
Oh no. I don't like him on commentary. There's times where he's good, but he's been bad lately. He's been really, really bad lately. Let's see. Ramos says, I tried to listen to the show all the way home from my son's practice, but the kids are talking over you. It's all good, man. I know it's a little bit earlier than usual, but that's why there's always the archive, man. Once it's done, you can always go back and check us out. Little Penny here, he's still checking us out, even though he's on the clock right now. Says Bradley is a true first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. Is he in or is he eligible?
He didn't get voted in the first time he was up for eligibility.
Wow.
Hope he gets in though.
Yeah, there's a chance he could get in. Let's see. Round 1 here says, I like Bradley, but I don't know if he should be in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, it's one of those things, man, where he's got big wins, but like the rest of his stuff is kind of thin, So it's tough, man. But I've always liked Bradley, and let's see. But I wish Bradley fought Amir Khan at 140.
Yeah, I wanted that fight
undisputed. Too. I wanted it bad too. He fought Alexander in an ugly fight. That was I think 3 belts were on the line for that one too. But that would have been a big fight. Definitely him and against Amir Khan. Who do you think would have won that fight, Beeb?
Bradley.
I would have picked Bradley too.
I would
I
pick
think he's just
Bradley.
tougher. I think he's tougher, you know. Although wouldn't have been easy because Khan is very fast, you know, fast hands, and he did pack a good punch at 140 pounds back then. But that chin,
Bradley,
man, always let him down.
One thing that I think gets underrated and overlooked sometimes with Bradley is he had very, very quick feet.
Yeah.
He was very fast on his feet. And he had good
Yep.
footwork too. He had very good footwork.
Bradley was good, man. I've always liked him. And let me just say something here too, man. Shame on those Pacquiao fans, those fanatics out there that sent death threats to this guy's home. You remember that, Beeb?
I heard it, yeah.
He was telling a story. This was before the Provodnikov fight on HBO, and he was talking about how they were sending him death threats, and he fell into depression and all that type of stuff. And then he goes out there and has an all-time classic war against Provodnikov. But there was some fans had some interesting things to say about Bradley's career after this fight. This year, Little Penny says Bradley has a better chin than Khan, but Khan had the faster hands. Bradley has more heart than Khan. I would agree with that. Would you agree with that, Beeb? I would.
I don't want to question Khan's heart. I think Bradley was more durable.
Mm-hmm.
He was probably physically stronger than Khan as well. But I
Yeah.
mean, Khan, I thought Khan had a lot of heart. You know what I mean? Maybe Bradley was more grittier. Can argue that possibly he's more grittier. But I think, you know, Khan showed a lot of heart in that Maidana fight when he got hurt really bad in that 10th round and he held on to win the decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
I actually picked Maidana in that fight and he almost pulled it off.
He sure did. He sure did. I want to share my screen here. I want to read some comments that I got. I made a post for this show in my community tab and got some interesting comments from it. So let's check it out. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. Let me make it big so everybody can see. Okay, so I made a flyer for the show for today. And here's a comment from Next Level Boxing Talk. And he says, "You're absolutely correct about that. And I was a profound pactard." This guy calls himself a pactard. Through and through. I remember the night I watched the fight asking myself, yo, what the hell's up with Manny? And if I had to ask myself that, it wasn't because he was exactly putting on a clinic. On the other hand, I also felt Juan Manuel Marquez was ever robbed by Manny either. That's where I disagree. I mean, you can't expect to be dropped 2-3 times in a fight and expect the judges to be the winner of any fight, much less complain about a draw. That's the only fight that I can give any fan that thinks Pacquiao won as the first one. If anything, Pacquiao Marquez 3 was the only fight I think Marquez could have been victorious, but also it wasn't a robbery either, just a close fight. Here's another comment here from Man in Water. Says, "You're right. It wasn't. Even if you had Pacquiao winning, it could have been more than a round or so. And if you look at the fight as a whole, instead of round by round, it was practically a tie. I feel it was close too. The reaction was just Pactards that went rabid on everyone that beat or did well against Pacquiao. They were sending death threats to Bradley's house. Yes, they were. To be honest, I truly believe." Now, here's where it gets a little into the conspiracy theories here, Beeb. So check this out. He says, "To be honest, I truly believe that Bradley threw the second and third fights. He wanted to be loved so badly that he was willing to sell out to make Pacquiao look like a superhero doing backflips and shit." And he did do look like a backward somersault or something like that in I believe it was the third fight.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna say Bradley threw those fights, but I think to some degree he may have went in those second two fights half-hearted because of all of the backlash he got for winning the first fight. It was almost as if losing would take the weight of the world off his shoulders.
Yep. Yeah, I won't go as far as to say he threw those fights intentionally, but I do feel like he was like it just wasn't the same Bradley that I seen against
No.
like a Brandon Rios. Like remember when Teddy Atlas let that fire under him and then he came out guns blazing and ended up stopping Brandon Rios. It just wasn't the same. Here's just some more comments here. Chris M says, shame on the Pactars to send death threats to Horn's pregnant wife and kid. Wow, did they do that too? To Jeff Horn? Wow, that's awful, man. Yeah, those guys were bad. I mean, Beeb and I were here 10, 11, 12 years ago when it was hot in these YouTube streets between the fanboys on the Pacquiao side and the Mayweather side. It got ugly with some people.
I remember I used to do videos, and I used to do them in my bedroom when I first started out, and I had a picture in the back of my mom. And I made videos about how I thought Pacquiao should just take the drug test and stuff, and they used to call my mother names and stuff. It was horrible.
Yeah. Yep, I got a lot of hate too when I came on after the third Marquez fight and I said that he won. Oh my god. I remember it was like weeks I was responding to every comment, but then I said to myself, you know what? Fuck these guys. I'm not going to give them the time of day anymore.
Yeah, you got to let it go sometimes.
Yeah. Chris M says, G Funky heard Beto Duran gave you a shout out on Thompson Boxing. Yeah, he did. What did you think of the card as a whole? Ruben Torres was looking bad. That I'm going to make a video about that, Chris M, and I'm glad you brought that up because you reminded me of that. B, we had another situation on a Thompson Boxing card that he's referring to here. It was almost identical to Mayweather Ortiz. Remember how that one ended where he hit him after the foul? And so what happened was there was a knockdown in a round. And the young prospect looked like he was losing. At least to me, I felt he was losing the fight. So he gets a knockdown. His opponent gets up and says that he's slipped, right? So he's kind of arguing with the referee. The referee gives him the 8 count, says that, you want to fight? Yeah, wipes his gloves. They continue fighting. So as the referee says, box, and he did say that, he goes, box. He comes up, puts his hand up to tap his glove, right? And immediately after he taps the glove, hits him with a left hook, knocks him out cold. I
hate that shit.
Yeah. I mean, it was legal because, again, the referee said box, but it was very unsportsmanlike. I'll say that.
Very unsportsmanlike.
Yep. And I said the same exact thing about Mayweather when he did that to vicious Victor Ortiz, because he did embrace Ortiz after, remember, he hugged him and kissed him several times, but right before he hit him with those 2 shots that knocked him out, he did give him a little half hug and then boom, boom, end of the fight with two punches. It was a legal cheap shot is what I think I called it at the time.
That's what Larry Merchant called it too.
Yeah, awful, just awful. Let's see, Little Penny says, Bradley should have thrown more punches in the rematch because this was after Pac got KO'd by Juan Manuel Marquez, and Pac was really hesitant at the time. Pac threw more feints than punches in the rematch. I haven't watched that rematch in a long time. I'm going to have to watch that one tonight. I don't think it was anything worth doing a show like this about, but I definitely want to go back and check that out. See, Bradley let the rematch get away. I had Pacquiao winning 9-3 or 8-4 at best. Let's see, very unsportsmanlike. Plus, you ruin it for the fans. Well, yeah, I didn't like that. Left a bad taste in my mouth. And I'm going to make a short video about that because Ruben Torres is a guy who Thompson's, they're big on him. And I'm not saying he's not good, but this was a fight he was having some trouble. And I felt like that was like he found a quick way to get out of the fight,
Yeah, it's crazy.
That was awful, man. But yeah, the death threats to the house, and I didn't know they did it to Jeff Horn. Did you know that, Beeb? I'm gonna have to check that out.
I heard it. Yeah, I heard it. I had that fight. Crazy as it may seem, I had that fight a draw. I didn't think Pacquiao won that fight either. I had it a draw.
I have to go back and find my scorecard. I know I have it written down somewhere because somebody had asked. Yeah, somebody had asked me to do a show with them about that fight, and I rescored it, and I can't remember how I had it. Let's see. Little Penny says Mayweather as a pound for pound king, and supposedly TBE shouldn't have sucker punched Victor Ortiz. I said that too in my video. I would. This is now if that was me and I was in that situation because I felt like he already had the fight won. He had already figured out Victor Ortiz. But I would have punished this guy, B. I would have punished him for the rest of the fight. I would have made him wish he'd never done something like that to me instead of just letting him off the hook real quickly.
Yeah.
That was a bad
Bad move on Victor Ortiz's part, man.
Yep. He was clearly frustrated, Guy throws a headbutt. Vicious Victor Ortiz, man. Well, he's still fighting. I think didn't he just fight recently? I think on a dark if I could use a wrestling term, be on a dark match. He fought, I think, on I think it was a PBC pay-per-view. I can't remember which one. They have so many of them.
He fought
now.
in May against a guy named Todd Manuel.
So I think it was on the undercard. Was it the Spence Ugas? Was it
he lost to Robert Guerrero on the Spence Ugas undercard, I think.
Yeah. It's time for him to give it up. He he's not what he used to be. That's for sure. Hasn't been for years. Chris M says, I had Pac Bradley won a draw and Horn beating Pacquiao. I'm getting a lot of people saying that they feel like this fight was a draw. A lot of people. Surprisingly, we had Boxing Vitals here. We had Chris M here live right now telling us that they felt it was a draw. Even some of the comments that I read off earlier. So yeah, I just think a lot of people, I don't know why, but they just let the commentating team really kind of dictate what they think goes on in the fight. And for me, this was one of the worst, man, where I've ever seen it. I mean, 11-1 for Harold Letterman, unbelievable. 11-1. There is absolutely no way you can give 11 rounds of that fight to Pacquiao.
That's out of control. It's out of control.
Yep, way out of control. Let's see. Last I knew, he lost to Guerrero. Yeah. Now I remember. I got a bad short-term memory.
He fought a guy in May named Todd Manuel at the Gila River Arena in Glendale.
Okay.
That's in Cali,
I remember
right?
hearing about it. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Glendale, California.
I remember hearing about that, and I'm like, Ortiz, it's time to give it up, My guy Cholo Trucker is here. He says Bradley used to throw a lot of headbutts. Yeah, he was kind of known for that.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, in this fight, I think there was only one butt early in the fight. I think it was in the first 5 rounds or so. I think there was one. I was actually kind of expecting that going into the fight because Bradley's known for, like you said, he's known for getting a lot of headbutts in his fights, but also orthodox southpaw. That could happen quite often, But I'm glad that it didn't because it could have ruined the fight. It could have been a cut, something like that. So yeah, I'm glad that it didn't happen, man. But yeah, I want to touch on this comment again, Beeb, where they said that they felt like Bradley threw those fights. And I thought about it after. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to go back and watch those fights. But Bradley,
he was a little bit less inspired in those second 2 fights because of all of the backlash he got after the first fight. I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree. I've had somebody here. I can't get the comment right now, but he was saying how, well, Bradley himself said he lost. You ever heard him say that, Beef? I don't recall him ever saying that he thought he lost this fight. I never heard him say that. Matter of fact, I want to give a shout out to True School Sports, BT over there. He interviewed Bradley, I think it was probably about a month ago. And he asked him that question, do you feel like you really won that fight with Pacquiao in the first one, And without hesitation, he said, hell yeah, I thought I won it, And he kind of said what I said in my post-fight 10 years ago. I felt like Pacquiao was just trying to steal a lot of rounds in this fight. And he looked very nonchalant early on. I think he felt like all I got to do is throw my gloves and my shoes and my trunks in the ring and this guy's going to fold, Turns out that wasn't the case. But I truly feel like he, especially rounds 9 through 12, he was only working within the last 30 to 20 seconds of those rounds, while Bradley is continuing to work the entire round. Like, you
Bradley
can't,
came on strong at the end, man.
yeah, you can't give a guy a round like that. I'm sorry, you just can't. And you mentioned earlier Andre Ward and his scorecard in the Lopez Loma fight. He gave round 2 to Loma, where what do you do? Land 2 left hands within the last 30 seconds or something like that? Like,
It's horrible.
can't give him that round. I'm sorry, you just can't. It's awful. But yeah, that's what I feel. And he said he felt the same way, that he was just trying to steal rounds. He even mentioned how he ran into one of the judges that scored the fight. That was an official judge. And he goes, every time I see him, he always tells me, you beat that motherfucker, you know? You really beat him. And I agree, man. And the judges, they all had it close, man. So it was not a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. 11-1. You got to be kidding me, man.
Out of control.
Completely out of control. And like you said, we don't want to disrespect Harold Letterman. He's been passed away now for a few years.
Sweetheart of a man, too, if you ever meet him, I heard.
Oh, yeah.
I heard he's a sweetheart of a man.
You ever met him, Beeb? No?
I never have, but I've heard people say that they've met him, and they say he's a sweetheart of a man. You know who met him? Jesse Regan met him. He loves him.
Really?
So,
Okay.
yeah, he met him a couple times because Harold Letterman's from New York. Jesse Regan's from New York, so he met him a few times. He's a pharmacist.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He was a retired. He was a pharmacist before. Yeah.
Let's read
It's
some more
real nice.
comments here before we wrap this thing up. Little Penny says Bradley was in the rematch, but he got dominated in the trilogy. Yeah, the trilogy wasn't close.
Yeah, he lost the second 2 fights. There's no question.
Mhm.
There's no argument there.
Yeah, Bradley definitely has a case in the first fight. Close fight. Did that fight reach one? No, I don't think it did reach 1 million buys. I don't think so.
No.
Let's see. He says Harold's daughter continues on the legacy. Yeah, there's people that complain about her a lot too. And her,
Yeah.
I gotta think. I think there was one time where she turned in a really bad scorecard. I just can't remember the fight,
Yeah.
but I
I've
think for the
disagreed
most
with-
part, I agree with her.
I've disagreed with a few of hers too, but you know, she's okay.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention this too. How Bradley did have an injured foot after round 4. I think he was avoiding an attack from Pacquiao. He moved back. You see, he twisted his ankle really badly. And I remember hearing
stretched out some ligaments.
Yeah, and I remember hearing him say that he fought that night. He had no socks on, Beeb. He didn't wear any socks that night with his shoes. And I remember, I forgot who it was interviewing to ask him, like, well, why didn't you wear any socks? He said, well, I was trying to be like Mike Tyson. You know, Tyson came out with no socks. And like, I don't know what you were thinking, Bradley. Like, put some damn socks on, all right? Let's see, Chris M is going to ask you a question. I think he says, Beeb, on this Tim Boxell, the rest of us should be forgiven for not knowing Ortiz's last bout. I couldn't remember, but I know it was recently, and it was in May. So I think it was.
If I didn't pop open Boxwork, I wouldn't have known either. That I just, you know,
Yeah,
it ain't like I'm I'm up on Ortiz like that, bro.
Vicious Victor Ortiz, man.
That's right.
That guy really, man. I remember when he fought Maidana, and Maidana beats him, and then after the fight, he says, I don't know if I should be taking this kind of punishment or something along those lines. And I'm like,
yeah, that'll be living with him in infamy for the rest of his life, bro.
I remember thinking to myself right away, like, well, I guess your career's over then, because this ain't gonna be the first time someone puts hands on you, bro. Like,
then he became world champion after that. Can you imagine?
I know, in a hell of a fight against Andre Berto. You know, that first fight was, I think, fight of the year that year. I can't remember what year it was, but I think it was fight of the year at the time. So, yeah, he had a little rejuvenance there in the middle end of his career. But it all went down the drain when he decided to throw a headbutt at Mayweather, and then that thing happened. And that was actually the very first fight that I did a video on YouTube for. I think it was a couple days after that fight, I decided to finally turn the camera on and make a video.
You know what my first video was here on YouTube?
What was it?
Pacquiao Hatton.
Oh,
Preview.
that was what, 2009?
9.
Oh,
2009.
yes. I can't
My
believe I
first
remembered
video.
that. I think the only reason I remembered that was because that fight was on my mom's birthday and we were watching it.
So 2022.
That's 13 years, babe. You've been on here.
Years.
For me, it's been 11. 2011 was when I started this channel. I had a channel before this, so I remember watching videos in like 2007, 2008, 2009.
You remember my first channel, J Habib 1, or you may not have remembered that.
No, I remember it. I remember. I've been watching you guys for a long time, all you guys. I remember you did a video, I think it was in front of your house after the third Marquez fight, and you were breaking down like how he was stepping back and pivoting off that line that Pacquiao attacks on. And that's why I subscribed to you, you know, like I put my video out about it, and then yours popped up, and then I looked at it, I was like, let me check this guy out, you know, and then like you was breaking it down real good, and I was like, oh, this dude's cool, man. I gotta subscribe to this dude right here.
I used to do those videos outside.
Yeah.
Like I used to have that brick wall in the back.
Yeah. Now you bringing back some good memories. I remember the brick.
I still got those videos. You know where they are?
Where you got them at?
This hard drive.
Oh, look at that.
On this hard drive.
The hard drive, baby. Hey,
imagine if I started uploading them again.
Why not, man? Why not? You know,
That'd
some
be
of the
awesome.
good ones, bro. You know, I remember watching you from that channel, and then I remember seeing you on the Boxing Voice, and then then you went over to Ringside Reporter. Like, yeah, I've been rolling with you for a while, Beeb. You know, and I don't always agree with you. Yeah, I don't always agree, but that's a good thing. You know, we don't have to always agree. You know. Let's see here. Joe Lopez says the first time I came across Beeb was on the Boxing Voice. Yeah, I mean the Boxing Voice at that time was really, really like one of the most popular shows in the YTBC. You know, I remember it was Ness, it was Beeb, it was Crazy Mario. Shout out to Mario Munguia.
My J Habib 1 channel's taken down, Little Penny. I got rid of it.
Yeah,
it got demonetized, so it broke my heart, and I took it down when it got demonetized.
He says, "Hey Beebs, Robbie was in Amir Khan's documentary on Netflix. I recognize his voice straight away." Wow.
What video was that? Because I went on Netflix yesterday. I couldn't find an Amir Khan documentary. What's it called?
Yeah. Let us know the name of that so we can check that out. Shout out to Ringside Robbie, man. He's been around for years too in the YTBC.
What's the name of that documentary? Because I was on Netflix the other day and I couldn't see it.
Oh man, I gotta hear that. If Ringside Robbie made the documentary, that would be something there. But yeah, those were good times.
It's on YouTube.
Okay. This is on YouTube. Okay, do you have a wrench? I don't think I gave you a wrench, but yeah, let us know what it is, man, and
drop a link to the video. Put it on here.
Yeah, let us check that out one time, man. I would love to see that. Let me go back to the live video here on YouTube. I don't think I gave Little Penny a wrench, but just put the title in there, man. And then we'll go check it out. The Amir Khan documentary. It's funny. Yeah, Ringside Robbie used to he would call in every show, right, B? On the Boxing Voice when you guys were on there.
Yeah.
Every show. He was like the first guy to call in. I remember him. Fight Doctor was constantly a caller. And Wood was another guy who called in often. Those are some great shows, man. A lot of great back and forth. I just loved when B would get worked up, man. Those were the best.
I used to go nuts. I used to go nuts on that.
Yeah. My favorite, I don't know if you guys ever seen this show, but my favorite, one of my favorite moments with Beeb on the Boxing Voice was when they were talking about Deontay Wilder, and this is long before any of the Glovegate Fury shit happened. This is when Wilder was, starting to become a name, and you brought up Mark Breland, and Ness was like, he didn't know who Mark Breland was. So Beef goes, "You don't know who Mark Breland is?" That was classic, man. Oh shit. Oh, Wood passed away? Are you serious?
Did he really?
Oh wow. I didn't know that. Wow.
Oh,
I remember he had a channel. He was making videos pretty consistently. Wow, that's unfortunate to hear. Yeah, Stewart was a part of the boxing voice too. I remember he used to call in a lot.
Yeah.
Let's see, the boxing is still killing it. Why'd you guys break up? Well, I mean, it was
Started
pretty
doing.
well. It was pretty well documented what happened there. um, B, I'm not gonna say the whole story, but B put it out there himself. What happened. I remember a few days after B had announced that he was going to leave the boxing voice D style. Came back out of nowhere. He was taking breaks then, but he came back out of nowhere and had Beeb on, and Beeb told his side of the story. So it was very public, man. You guys could find out what happened if you want. It's there. Let's see. Little Penny says Mark Breland tried to poison me. But this is long before all that shit happened, and I remember B was like, "You don't know who Mark Breland is." I love that one, man. That right there was classic for me, man. But those are some great times. I remember every Thursday night I tuned in to watch the boxing voice, and Beeb started. That's where Beeb started the beating the odds with Beeb, right? On that show.
Yeah, that was good.
Yep. So all you guys that watch it on the Ringside Reporter now, where his channel is, I remember it was a segment where they would do predictions on Thursday, and then Beeb would get his own piece where he would break down the odds and give his opinion on who to bet and what to bet, whether it was take this guy, take the favorite, take the dog, take the rounds, whatever. Beeb, you should have been charging, man. I'll tell you that. You should have been charging 10%, all right, for anybody that took your advice and won. Because I know some people made some good money off of your advice, man. I know I did a few times. I'm not gonna lie. Hey, Jesus Evans here. What's up, man? Let's see. Ness kicks out everyone once his 21C reaches their oh boy. Well, look, again, B was not shy about what happened with that. So I'm not gonna make him explain it now, but the videos, I think they're still there, right, B, on your channel?
No, he asked me to take them down, so I took them down.
Okay.
What happened was we had a talk. We kind of hashed things out, and he asked me if I could take those videos down. So I took them down out of respect for him. But
you know what? Go ahead.
But there's a guy named Russell Scott who interviewed me about it, and those are still up because that guy ain't taking shit down.
I wonder if D Style still has his video up of you when he interviewed you after that. Because that was interesting too. But I'll say this, man. At the end of the day, last year we kind of hooked up with the boxing voice. When I was rolling with the HCP crew, I was over there a couple times, and it was really cool to see you go back over there, Beeb, on the show. And then Ness went on your guys' channel and did the show with you. That was really cool to see, man. I never thought I would see that happen, but it did, man, and that's good.
Ness is in Vegas right now, and he's got a beautiful studio right now. It's amazing.
Yep. I seen the videos on it, man. It looks great,
Beautiful.
I didn't break away from D Style. It's just him and I are good, bro. There's no issue between him and I. Chris M says, Mayor versus Bum, who you guys picking? Whoa, I'm glad you brought that up. Tomorrow night, guys, I'm gonna be on In the Ring with Christine on her channel, and we will be talking with Michaela Mayer herself. She will be there, and that's gonna be a fun show, man. So Beeb, let's wrap this thing up, man. I want to thank Little Penny for risking his job to come on here and talk with us about this fight. We had some good comments and all that good stuff. But give us your final thoughts on this, man, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Well, unfortunately, if you did score this fight for Bradley, you're going to be in the probably a 1% of the population that scored this fight for Bradley, because popular opinion is that was one of the biggest robberies in boxing to this day. They even think that people think that was even a worse robbery than Pernell Whitaker versus Chavez. And that was, to be honest with you, that was another close fight. I had Pernell Whitaker winning the fight, but I had it 7-5. It was a close fight.
Mm-hmm.
But people called that a robbery too. So, yeah, it's tough, man. When you score fights, when you want it, people love to throw that word robbery around. But here's the thing, man. If you can take 10 scorecards or even 5 scorecards and you can see and show me where each person scored every like 7 rounds identical for one person, then it's really hard to call a fight a robbery sometimes, because again, someone will call the fight a robbery, and then you ask everyone what their scorecards were, and everyone got to that score a different way. So unless you guys can come up with 7 clear rounds for one fighter, right, then it's hard. It's sometimes hard to call fights robberies. That's why I don't scorecard shame people, and I accept everyone's opinion.
Yeah, and the only time I would scorecard shame someone is when we get a scorecard like in this fight. If someone comes to me and says Pacquiao won 11 rounds,
some things are so overtly incredulous that it's almost hard to not say something.
Yeah,
and 11 to 1 is kind of qualifies for that.
Yes, sir. It sure does. But a quick note I want to say about this fight is I was actually there early in the week in Vegas back in 2012 for this fight. I had some pictures. They had a ring set up in the middle of the entrance there in the MGM Grand. I took a picture in front of it. I just got to find it. I can't find it. I was looking for it today, and I just ran out of time. But my wife and I were celebrating our 1-year anniversary of marriage, Beeb, in 2012.
Congratulations. 10 years.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, we've been married a long time now. We've been together almost 20.
Jesus.
But we were there. What was the date? This was June 9th was the date of the fight. Our anniversary date is June 4th. So, yeah, we took a vacation for the anniversary. We kicked it out there in Vegas. This is before we even had children. Beeb, I wasn't even a father at the time. And so we were out there kicking it, having a good time. And I was trying to catch some footage. I was trying to get out there. I was asking all these workers at the MGM Grand, like, what time do they get here? Because I know that they arrive on like a Tuesday, the week of the fight. They usually do. And like, nobody could give me an answer, Beeb. They're like, I don't know. I'm going to talk to my manager and ask my manager. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. But I was trying to catch some footage. I actually got a chance to go inside of the MGM Arena that day. And it was kind of cool walking in there, man. It was cool. It was almost it was a big deal for me because a lot of big fights took place in that arena in the MGM Grand. At that time, De La Hoya had already fought Mayweather, Tyson, Holyfield, like a bunch of fights that already took place in the MGM Grand. So it was cool walking in there and all that stuff. So I just want to throw that out there. And then I come home that weekend, order the fight. We watch the fight, and I got my prediction right. I predict Bradley to win, and he won the fight. He says, what do you guys think about Andre ducking Janibek? Look, Andrade's career has been disappointing, man. A huge disappointment. Beeb interviewed him recently. Check out Beeb's interview. Go to Ringside Reporter. You see it right there behind him. He interviewed Demetrius Andrade. When was that, Beeb? Was it last year or was it earlier this year that you interviewed him?
It was last year. I think it was last year.
Yeah. So check it out. He asked him a lot of good questions. And yeah, look, he's kind of a strange guy, man. But, Leonard Sylvester, G Funky, did you say Michaela Mayer is on? Yes, she will be on the show tomorrow. So don't miss that, guys. All right. Let's see. Yes, Mike Tyson definitely fought there a lot in the 90s. So yeah, guys, I want to thank everybody, Little Penny, for risking his job to come out here and talk with us. All you guys that came into the chat, and my guest panelists here, as always, Joe Habib. I appreciate your time, man. Let everybody know what you got going on this week, man, on the channel.
So we'll be doing the roundtable on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be talking about the latest upcoming boxing news and upcoming fights. Obviously, we'll probably be talking about the AJ Usyk aftermath. And you can always check myself and Eric Lord out every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, the Ringside Reporter podcast. You can find us there as well. And I frequently do videos during the week when topics pop up or breaking news pops up. So you can check me on the Ringside Reporter live channel here on YouTube for all of the exclusive content.
There you go. Yes, the roundtable will be Thursday, like you said, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Check that out. That's the best boxing roundtable there is on YouTube, man. How
Yeah.
often do you see a panel of 5, 6, 7 guys and girls or women, whatever, and they all got their cameras on, they all got good mics and everything? Like, it's great stuff, man. And it's no fanboy shit. It's just all pure boxing. And make sure you guys check that out. Subscribe to Ringside Reporter here on YouTube. And like I said, I'll be on Christine's channel, In the Ring with Christine, tomorrow. She will have Michaela Mayer on. We're going to ask her about her big fight coming up in September. And yeah, this is it for this one, man. Divine Sense pops in here late, man. We're getting ready to wrap this thing up. You said you thought Bradley won. So did I, and so did Bede, man. We thought he won this
scored
fight.
for Bradley too. I scored it for Bradley too.
And that's another guy who was here around that time when the heat was on between the Mayweather fans and the Pacquiao fans. Divine Sense, he was here, and yeah, a lot of shit went down at that time period. But that's for another video. But B, we'll be back soon. I have a feeling there's going to be a big fight that's going to be announced here in a couple of weeks that you and I definitely agree on. And we're going to have to get together and talk about it, man, because it's going to be good, man. It's going to be good. So, all right, guys, that's it for this one. Change My Mind Volume 2. We'll be back. This is going to be a thing that I do every now and then. So be on the lookout for them. There'll be some more interesting topics out there. But for this one, that's it, man. Thank you all, and have a good day. We'll see you guys on the next one.